Working on the site now, and it's rather tedious. So I did most of the work without having it be recorded, but I left a little corner here that I'll show how to do that. But basically we have the three-dimensional view now. I've used Autodesk rendering to render my project, and I can see there are a few things like right here. I can see that I've lined up my siding so that it overlaps the brick. And then when I go to a place where on the first floor where the studs are recessed, I'm going to have this overhang here. And I know that on the inside of the house now, the gypsum boards are not going to line up. So that's something that would have to be dealt with, and I can deal with that. And I may or may not, because we're still in the sketch phase. The client may not like what he sees here and want changes, or like what he sees and want changes. But anyway, here's the same thing. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I would take a look at it. But the purpose of the site and the rendering is to show the exposure of the lower level. And so a walkout is always desirable, or the lower level can actually, you can walk out of it onto the site. But remember that this is a very unique site in that we have a lot of preservation area. We have woodland and wetland preservation area, which we can't touch, which means that changing the grade is altering the grade in any way is probably going to be quite difficult. So I've rendered the site plan showing the existing topography without any changes to it. And you can see that where the brick ends and the concrete basement is exposed is my typical detail for where the grade would normally be. We'd have the grade at approximately 2 feet below the first floor. And that's pretty much how all of my details are. So what you can see is that I would need to definitely lower the brick ledge around the house. Now here at the front, maybe I have the ability to raise the grade a little bit. So I might be able to actually alter the grade at the front of the house here so that I don't have to drop the brick ledge, that maybe I can bring the grade up to this elevation, which would be the normal elevation. And if I did, then I wouldn't have as many steps from the grade to the house. And if I could do the same thing on the side of the house, then I wouldn't have to have so many steps from the garage into the house, because we have to get from this elevation to the first floor elevation. And so you can see here I've dropped or raised the house by 2 feet out of the normal relationship to the topography at the front of the house. So I have to have 2 feet of extra steps, at a minimum 3 more risers. But that would be 8 inches per rise, and that's not a very comfortable step. So maybe even 4 risers additionally to what we would have normally. So anyway, that's what I have there, and I have my site plan, and I wanted to show you. This is the site plan that came from the surveyor, and they've given me topographic information, the elevation of the ground at the various points on the site. And so if we go to the site plan, I'm going to take this and hide it. So I'm going to hide that element. And you can see the site that I've drawn now. And if I edit the site, then you can see what I've done is I've traced the topographic lines, and I've put my own points with a particular elevation value to them. Okay, so all of these points here are 4 feet below the 0 grade, and all of these, if we click on it, we can see that they're 6 feet. So you can see that this is a very tedious amount of work. There's no reason for you to watch that on the video, but I'll do this little corner here to show you. So I'm going to reset that hide because I want to continue just this 964 topographic over to the property line, which is right here. So I'm going to go as far as I put in. The surveyor drew the property lines as yellow, which in AutoCAD, if you have a black background, that works really well. But yellow on a white background is pretty poor. So their property lines are yellow. So I put a reference plane in there just so I could see where it was on top of their yellow property line. So what I'm going to do is continue this 964, which relative to my elevations would be -2 feet. So I'm going to come up here and say place a point. And now I want that to be -2 feet. So I'll set it over here. And the elevation is -2 feet. And I'm simply going to snap to the endpoints of the lines that the surveyor has. Doesn't have to be exact. Could be the midpoint of the line. Sometimes I snap to that, not on purpose, but it just happens. And so as you can see, this is pretty tedious. But I'm placing points that have an elevation of -2 relative to the levels on my house. And I want to come all the way over to here. Maybe I can work my way backwards. And what Revit's doing is it's creating a site that fits these elevation points. For my purposes, I really only care what the grade looks like where it hits the house. So this is additional information which I could utilize to tell the contractor some information about how much fill they might need or something like that. I could do those calculations. So I've extended this over these points over to here. I'll say okay to that. Let's go back and take a look at it in 3D. And we'll spin her around. Change my crop region to come out to there, out to there. Maybe take my section box out just a little bit farther. Okay, so that's what I put in there. I guess I might want to extend this topographic line. All right, so let's try that. It's easiest to grab the topography, edit the surface. Now I've selected it, I can go back to my site plan and I can see that maybe set a point. I don't really know what this point is right here. The surveyor hasn't told me, but maybe that's 963 of something. Anyway, so all right, I won't do it. I'm going to do anything, I'll have that little piece clipped there. But this is fine because it does show to me and to the contractor where the brick ledge will have to be lowered. And if and when the contractor says, okay, this is fine, let's go with it, but then I will actually lower the brick ledge. I'll have to change the construction of this these walls, because we wouldn't expose concrete there, we would actually drop the brick ledge down so we could put brick all the way across there. Now, I'm pretty confident that the basement plan is correct. In other words, that's very likely how the contractor is going to want to assemble the basement. It's what we put on top of it that would be the question or the issue. So, a few fine tuning here and there will be required in order to make this correct. You can see that I have these walls created for the blocking for the soffit and the fascia board. I put blocking in there, and then I put my 2x4s to handle the overhang. And so I have that in there, but I didn't put it on this wall, so I would have to change these walls, and I might do that, and I might not. Something. Yeah, so you can see that the wall heights are fine, but I didn't put my blocking in there on these walls. Not really a major issue, but anyway, you can see shift key down, and I should be spinning around when you hold the shift key down and you push the mouse. There we go. Oh, there it was there for a second. I thought, anyway. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So you can see on the inside, I don't have my floors in. I had to put a floor in over here because I believe the shower is floor-based. In other words, it's hosted by the floor. So in order to put that shower in, I had to actually put in a floor. So I put a tile floor in. And you can see this tub is still, there's something strange about it, that it's covered at the top, but there is actual depth to it. And look at what happened here. See, the tub is set at the finished or the subfloor, top of the plywood subfloor, not the top of the tile. So if we go to the second floor, and pull this section line over through the tub and go to that view, you can see where the tub is below. I just know that from previous experience. So I want to raise it so that it's not set on the plywood subfloor, but it's actually set on the tile. So if we go back now and look at that 3D view, you can see that we don't see the tile anymore because the tile, this tub is set above the tile. Tile is still there, but you shouldn't be able to see it when you see the tub. And I don't, let's see, let's go back to that site real quick. And yeah, we can't really see the tub to see how it rendered. Anyway, that's the topographic and the site. And to this point, this is what we have in the, I could raise it more. If I raise it up more, I'll have more steps. The only reason that would be an issue is if I have more steps in the front, but if I can raise it up more, then I can have more of a walkout. Normally we would excavate out more in the back to allow for a greater walkout. But in this case, we have those constraints of the woodland and the wetland preservation area. So we really have a very limited amount of sculpting that we could accomplish and get away with because of those preservation areas. So if I raise the house up and I can raise the grade in the front up, then that's not going to be an issue. And it looks like I might be able to do that, but that's not a point of interest right now.